Here we're going to take a look at Chapter 11, Part 2, and we'll just get at least a start on it. First, we have to find problem 11-11A in UB text. There's also, I've provided for you ledgers that you can use for that particular problem. However, if you were given a problem on an exam, you may have to figure out your own ledgers. I have given you ledgers with accounts payable here or accounts receivable there that you can use and then just modify. You can copy and paste extra ledgers that you need to do to make it complete. Change the account names, change the account numbers as you need to. This one that I have posted down here, Ledgers for Chapter 11, Part 2, has everything that you need into it as far as names and account numbers. Okay, so we need to take a look in your ebook. Here is the problem, problem 11-11A. This is Emily Franks, owns Frank's Fantasy. Okay, a cash account has a balance of $21,000. Okay, and so that's one of the things that you're going to want to do is look at the beginning paragraph and see if there's any beginning balances that need to be put into the ledgers before you start on the transactions. So I'm going to bring up the ledgers. And here in the cash, I didn't look at the date here. Let me see. This is for July the 1st. Okay, so here for July the 1st, beginning balance, and that was $21,000. Of course, we know that cash is an asset. It has a debit balance, so we put the $21,000. We put our dash or a .00 in there as well to show the pennies. Okay, so now we know, of course, this is not a complete general ledger. We've got the cash account, and we have inventory. Those are both assets. We have accounts payable, which is a liability. We have purchases, which is an expense. Purchase returns allowance and purchase discounts are attached to purchases that have opposite balance. Those are contra expense accounts. And we have rent expense in here. Our capital and owner withdrawal accounts not in here. Accounts receivable, sales. We're missing a bunch of accounts. So only the accounts are here basically that you need, and then there's a couple extra. Okay, so here we have also attached here is the accounts payable subsidiary ledger. Now that doesn't, after the word account, you would have to write the name of the vendor, and that you would still have yet to do. Okay, you can do that as we go along. Okay, so now we're ready to go and start on our transactions. July the 1st, we issued check 414 in payment of July rent, $2,500. Now we've done this since Chapter 2, okay? We're giving up cash of $2,500. We said cash means it's coming out of the checking account, meaning we're writing a check, okay? So we're going to be decreasing our checking account, decreasing cash, so that'll be a credit to cash, okay? And then what are we receiving? Whenever you pay for rent, you're receiving use of the office space, and whenever we use something, that's going to be an expense. So we can take a look at our ledger here. Since you weren't given a chart of accounts, you can look at the ledger. Here's rent expense, account 511. If you had a ledger, the other ledgers on the page that didn't have rent expense, you could have copied and pasted one of these other ones and then just change the name and the number. Okay, so here we have rent expense. So we're receiving rent expense, and whenever we increase an expense, that's a debit. So we know we're going to debit rent expense, we're going to credit cash for this. So before we put it into a ledger, we need to put it into a journal. So here's your journal. It told you to use page 16 for the journal. Okay? We're going to record the date. That's July the 1st. Our debits come first. So that's rent expense. And that was $2,500. There's our dash. Our credit needs to be indented. And that was cash. And that's a credit of $2,500. Dash. Our debits equal our credits, so we put in our explanation, which is check 414. Okay? Now, we can ask ourselves, does this include anything that has to be posted right now? Anything that goes in a subsidiary ledger? Well, no, this doesn't have. This is the rent expense and the cash are both in the general ledger. Neither one is a vendor or a customer. So I can wait and post this later if I want to. Otherwise, I can go ahead. I could post it now. I could go to rent expense. I copy the date, July the 1st. I copy the amount, $2,500, debit. I don't have a previous balance, so my new running total balance is $2,500 debit. Where did this come from? GJ16. And I go back to the journal and I put in what account number was this that I posted that to. I go to cash. I don't put the month in again. I've already got the month in there. That was a credit of $2,500. I'm copying from the journal entry. My previous balance was debit, and now I have a credit. Debit and credit is subtract. So I'm going to take 21,000 minus 2,500 is 18,500 is my new running total balance. Cash is still an asset. It's always going to have a debit balance. So it's not like you're going over here to the credit side. Okay? This is still, all of these are going to be a debit balance. But now I only have 18,500 of cash in the checking account instead of 21,000. Where did this information come from? GJ16. And now I go journal, say what account did I post this to, account number 101. Now I'm ready for the next transaction. The second transaction, we purchased merchandise on account from Tilly's Toys, invoice 311, 2,800. Now unlike chapter 10, we're not the final customer, so that we don't have to collect anything about sales tax or pay any sales tax. That's all we've got to worry about is the 2,800. There are terms to 10 net 30. If we pay this off within 10 days of the date of the invoice, we'll get 2% discount. So it would have to be paid by July 11th. That's 10 days after the 1st. Okay. Otherwise, we have to pay the whole amount on the 30th. We would not get 30 days after the invoice, so that would be August 1st. or July 31st, depending on what method your company is using to count the days. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll put this in the journal. We're purchasing inventory, and they use the word merchandise, that means inventory. We're purchasing inventory to resell, so that's what we're receiving. Receiving inventory to put on the shelf, okay, and we're not paying cash today. We owe out to a vendor to Tilly's Toys, okay? So when we owe out to a vendor, that's accounts payable. So we're receiving inventory, and on the periodic inventory system, that means we're going to debit purchases. We're increasing the fact that we owe out to Tilly's Toys, a vendor, so we're increasing accounts payable, which is a liability. That's going to be a credit. Okay, so I first go to my journal, and get the date. Let's see, it's also the 1st, okay? Okay, so on the 1st, I don't put the month again because it's already, July already in there. Okay, I'm going to debit purchases, 2,800. Credit is indented, that's accounts payable. And whenever I put accounts payable, whether I'm debiting it or crediting it, I got to put the vendor name. Tilly's Toys. And that's 2,800. Okay, my debits equal my credits. So I can put my explanation. I have to put the invoice number. That's 311. Invoice number 311. Okay, goes. Now I'm ready. I have to ask myself, is there anything in this transaction that has to be posted right away? Yes. Tilly's Toys has to be posted right away. I could wait and post the purchases later if I want to, and even the accounts payable in the general ledger if I want to, but Tilly's Toys must be posted right away before I go on to the next transaction. So here for this account name, Tilly's Toys, copying the date, which is July the 1st, copying the amount, that was a credit for 2,800, and so my new balance is 2,800. This is the accounts payable ledger, so it's just like accounts payable. Accounts payable is a credit balance because it's a liability, so this balance is a credit balance as well. Where did this information come from? GJ16. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and post also the accounts payable. We've got July, we're copying the date, July the 1st, copying the amount, 2,800 credit. New balance is 2,800 credit. Where did this come from? GJ16. And you can go ahead and do the purchases and copying the date, copying the amount. That was a debit of 2,800. New running total is debit of 2,800. Where did this come from? GJ16. We go back to the journal, and we posted this to account 201, which is accounts payable, and we posted it to Tilly's Toys. That's where your check mark would go. If it's not easy for you to have a check mark on your keyboard, you can use the asterisk instead. Purchases was account 501, and we had recorded that debit, posted that debit as well. So now all our post references are done, and we are ready to go to the next journal entry.